everyone, welcome back to Mike's Vehicle Vlogs, and I want to thank you so much for joining me today, because today we are officially going to introduce the 2006 Saab 9.3 2.0T. I'm going to tell you everything that I know about this car so far. I've only had it for a week, and I could tell you already what we have to do to it, at least some of what we have to do to it, but I'm sure there will be other things that will appear as we start our journey into this new project. But in today's video, as promised, I'm going to give you guys the full in-depth tour of this vehicle and what I've learned about it so far within 1 week's time. So let's get started. First off, I want to apologize for the wind and all the snow, because it appears that last night we had our first heavy snowfall. Today is November 29th. So yeah, and it's windy, and I was thinking about using my phone to record my voice, but either way, I think the wind is going to, take place. Also, the battery on the camera is dying already. It did not charge for some reason, so I think I have to get a new camera battery. So I'm going to do what I can while I'm here at the park, and maybe I'll have to finish the rest of this video at home. But anyway, 2006 Saab 9.3 2.0T. Overall, the condition of this car is not that bad. She's getting ready to turn 195,000 miles. That is quite a bit. In fact, that is the most mileage I think I've had on a car yet, with all of the cars that I've owned. So, yeah, she's probably going to need quite a bit of love from here on out, because the older it gets, the more worn out it gets, the more that's going to have to be replaced. But I mean, it is drivable. It's the first project that I've gotten where it doesn't have to sit in the driveway for months at a time, at least not right now. So yeah, let me show you guys what we got. So they're not on right now, but my stepsister, who had this car before me, she put them LEDs in the headlights, so it actually looks really good when it's on. And this car already had the projector beam lenses in it, so at night this car actually does carry quite a bit of good headlight brightness with a combination of the LEDs and the projectors. So it is very very nice actually at night. We've got the signature Saab badge on the hood, as well as the legendary, three-piece grille. I'm sure there might be a name for that design. I do not know, but it's a good look for this car. I think my stepsister also painted this pink. It might be coming off. Not a big deal. I really don't care about that. Oh, and she may have put vinyl on this. I think these are usually chrome, like this, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. She has blacked out quite a few things on this car, and it actually makes it look really freaking good. We have fog lights. Now, I think she said she put the fog lights in. They are tinted fog lights, so like you really can't even tell that there are actually fog lights there. But they are there, and they do work. I haven't had a problem with them throughout the entire first week that I've driven it. We have headlight washers. I've never had a car with headlight washers. Haven't used any of the washers yet, but I'm assuming maybe they work. I guess when you use them, you can only use them for so many times per wiper cycle or something, from what I was reading in the manual. This little thing here comes out, and I believe you can put the, there's like a toe, like if you get stuck in something, you can put the little toe ring there and they can pull you out or something. So it's one of those deals there. Oh yes, I know we covered this in the last video, but we have this stripe. I love this stripe. In fact, I thought the stripe was factory. It goes all the way up over the roof onto the trunk and then some. She did that, and like I said, I thought maybe that was a factory option, but no. So I like it. I like how it's just on the one side too. It definitely gives it a more unique look. And she also put a little bit of vinyl on top of the headlight lenses there, to kind of give it what she called a sassy look. I like them, I'm not gonna lie, but I also do like the original shape of the headlight itself. So whether I keep those on or not, I'm not 100% sure. I'm not gonna mess with them right now. they really don't bother me. You know, they don't bother me much. It's just one of those things that also gives the car a little more of its own character. But I'm just saying, if I take them off, it's probably just going to be because I do also like the shape of the original headlights also. So on the side, it really isn't that bad cosmetically. It does have quite a bit of rust, you know, showing up through both back wheel wells. And they were actually fixed one time before, she said, but she doesn't think that they were done properly, and it started kind of coming back. There's a little bit of rust down there, and I think there was a little bit here at the bottom of the front. Now, depending on how much money I have in the future and how good this car is going to prove to be as time goes on, I may actually invest in having it professionally corrected. Just because this car, there really isn't anything else wrong with it cosmetically. Just both those sides there. It's dirty, obviously. We haven't had it cleaned yet. But I mean, there's really no major scratches or dents anywhere. There's a little ding up here, which is not too big a deal. But this, you know, this car may actually be worth putting some body work into, and I know nothing about body work, so I would have to probably pay an arm and a leg for somebody to do it correctly. So I'm just saying. But I mean, really nothing else wrong with the sides here. She added the black striping. I don't know if you can see it here, but there's black pin striping that goes all the way down the sides. Again, I thought that was factory. She did plasti dip the wheels. So they're originally silver, I believe. So they're black now, and these are, what are these, 215, 55, 16s. She had aftermarket 17s on it at one time, but I told her I did not want those, so I will keep the original rims. You guys know how I am about stuff like that. We are going to need tires, I can tell you that right now. They're not too bad. I measured them. The fronts are about 5/32, and the backs are about 6. So they're not far off from each other. I was going to do a rotate, but then I thought, we'll just leave them as is for the time being, because we are going to try to replace them. Obviously the window tint on the back windows, she did that, so it looks good on this car, so I'm not even gonna bother taking it off unless I am like forced to by law enforcement or something. But I think it's within legal spec here in Ohio. I don't know what it is, what the spec's supposed to be, but I think it's okay. So I'm not really worried about it. It does look good, but if I have to remove it, then I will have it removed. It's not that big a deal to me. At the back, she blacked out the 9.3 and 2.0T badges. Again, thought it was factory like that. It looks good. I just like all this blacked out look. Here's that stripe again, coming down the back here. She blacked this trim piece out here, and she added this wing, which, nothing too ridiculous. It is like perfect for the shape and the edge of the trunk line. I think she also had the taillights back here blacked out also, but they are not blacked out any longer, and I'm fine with that. I like how the original lights look anyway. And you can see the exhaust pipe sticking out. It does have aftermarket exhaust. In fact, she had the whole exhaust system replaced, and the muffler was replaced not that long ago, so it has more of a, like a boom, you know. It's got a boom in the back, and it sounds really good. It sounds really good when it's running. So like I said, there really isn't anything on the other side that's any different from this side. It's just got the same kind of rust, you know, growing around the wheels. Maybe a scuff mark there. Looks like it was curbed down there at the bottom at some point, and that's pretty much it. So this was pretty much the cosmetic tour, the outside tour of the 9.3. So let me show you guys what I know about the inside. So here's the inside of the 9.3. I love the overall cockpit design of these Saabs from this time period. I think most of the 9.3s throughout their entire lifespan had a similar setup on the inside, and this generation here I think is my favorite, to be quite honest. So yeah, it's got the leather upholstered seats. The driver's seat is worn. It's definitely a lot more worn in than all the other seats. You can see it's just, you know, cracked and peeling. Not that big a deal. The seat is still very comfortable, I must say. Those you know, dark spots can probably get cleaned out over time, but like I said, the other seats are really not that bad leather wise. You guys know, if I had to really pick the car from it being brand new, I probably would have picked black interior. So you know how I am about, you know, anything neutral, but the color contrasting inside of this particular one it looks really good. So I can't even complain about the fact that the seats are like a tannish or a beige color, because there's enough black accenting in this car to really make it look to make it pop, you know. So I love it. I love the inside of this car. It's got the original floor mats, obviously. All carpets need a good cleaning. I'm sorry, my nose is so stuffy because it's freezing out here. In the back, again, more leather. The back seats look like they have never really even been used. That's a whole container of stuff that she gave me for the car. So it's got cleaning wipes. It's got more vinyl wrap if I want to black out anything else. So yeah, so I got some additional stuff there. The driver's seat is powered. It'll go forward and backward. The seat rest is also powered, and I believe that knob there, I think, is maybe for either lumbar. On the other seat, there's a knob, and it manually adjusts the seat back. So that seat, I don't think, is powered at all, but this one is, and it does work. The door panel, there's not much to it. There is original wood trim on the door skins. Have our power mirror controls here. Door handle, door lock controls. The controls for all 4 windows, including lockout. And on this door, the trunk release is also there. So the other doors are pretty much all the same. There's not much different on any of the other doors. So the one unique thing about Saabs that takes a little bit of getting used to, but I think it's really cool, is the key and the placement of the ignition, which is down here on the center console. Like I said, 194,989 miles on the clock as of current. So there we go. And like I said, the front of the car has LED lights, but the headlights are always on. You can tell by the icon there at the bottom of the speedometer. Even if I go to turn the switch off, the headlights are still on. So it does not matter what I'm doing to the lights. I don't know if you know, the guy who put the lights in wired them differently, but the headlights are always on, and that is why all of the stuff is green on the inside also. You can see all the illumination because the whole system is on. So 7,000 RPM tach, 160 mile per hour speedometer, and gauges for your coolant temperature, fuel level, and turbocharger boost. We've got a 3-spoke leather wrapped steering wheel with nice sport grips, perforated leather on the sides of the wheel, very nice touch there. We also have controls for our radio on the sides here. And the voice command and the phone, I do believe, are not active functions in this car. In fact, I think the manual even said if the car is for the United States or Canada regions, these buttons are here. They do not do anything at all. Those systems were not available. I don't know. That's what I read. But anyway, there's our wheel. Got our nice Saab badge here in the center. Over to the left, like I said, is the headlight controls, the fog light controls. Like I said, the fog lights do work. And this here, I believe, is like a rear fog light. The indicator comes on when I hit the button. Actually, I'm kind of curious. I want to see what lights up back there. Let's see. The one light there. So yeah, there's like one light. I think that's pretty common on these cars from like overseas. Like I think Mercedes has the same thing. So it's like one little I don't know, backup light or something. It's weird. It'll probably never be used, but it works apparently. So that's that. And that's all there is over here. The turn signal stock includes the controls for your cruise control system on the sides here. And of course the wiper controls are here on the other stock. Up at the top of the dashboard is what they call the SID, the SID. I believe it stands for Saab and for information display. But anyway, it has a clock, and it'll show you the distance to empty. Also the media information. Right now the radio's on, obviously. If I hit or use this, what they call the profiler, then I can actually scroll through the top information. The outside temperature does not show up. I think we need a sensor for somewhere outside the car, so maybe we'll look into that. Average fuel economy, the distance, it probably needs to be reset. Arrive time 12. I don't know what that means. The average speed, and then something else, speed W, I don't know, and then today's date, and that's it. So I mean, there's a lot that actually can be accessed using the profiler. The controls underneath that will actually clear any warnings. If there's a warning that shows up there, you can clear the message. And customize will allow you to go through the actual like vehicle settings and such using the profiler. So there's stuff in there I gotta maybe actually look into and, you know, just read up on. And then obviously if a warning's up there, there's a little icon that shows up in the one spot beside the clock. If a message does show up there, the little icon here in the center will also display. In case you don't notice, there's a message up there also. So that's a pretty cool thing. Down here, the rest of the controls here are for the audio. This is the middle range infotainment system that they offered in the Saab for this generation. So it does have the little display here. This sound system in this car sounds amazing. I believe this has the 7-speaker system. Even without the subwoofer that she has in the trunk, it does not work. So I think it's off. But I think that the sound system already sounds amazing. So 7 speakers. There's 1, 2, 3 in the dash, 1 in each door over here up front, and then I think in the back they're on the by the window, or the back window on the shelf. So 7 speakers. It sounds amazing. I am very happy with the sound system. I have not really gotten to know all of these controls. I know it's pretty simple here. Here's your you know, equalizer controls, seek and scan and whatnot. Preset controls. If you have the phone option elsewhere, you can probably use this to dial numbers in. This, you know, we'll use this to, you know, select you know, preset bands and such. Preset list. I have not even set anything in this car yet, so there's still, like I said, a lot that I have to really do. But that just kind of gives you an idea of what that stuff does there. The remaining controls over here are pretty self-explanatory. Obviously this one here is for your dashboard dimming, for all your instruments and such. Night panel, I have showed that one other time on a Saab video. I actually have used it and it's pretty cool, but when you hit night panel, what it does is it kills all of the illumination, most of the illumination and the gauges and stuff for when you're on a road and there's like pitch black, and if all of these lights here bother you, it calms everything down. It leaves a small portion of the speedometer lit, so it'll light up to 90 right now. You can kind of tell the difference that the other side is dark, and none of these will operate. The display on the radio goes off, but all of this stuff here I think stays lit in case you need it. So it's a really cool thing to actually use. But yeah, so we'll probably demonstrate that here in the near future one time. I was always confused by what the button with the dash means, because when you hit this button, it doesn't do anything. Well, I found out it's an auxiliary button. So if you have anything outside the car or inside the car that you want to wire in, it's an auxiliary button to, you know, already have a switch hooked up. So you just have to tie into that circuit, and that would be the power for whatever accessory that you have installed on the car. So I thought that that was pretty neat. And then ESP, of course, is stability track control, you know, override. So when that's on, it cancels that system out. The legendary Saab cup holder, yes, it works, but this one, the spring is broken. She had it replaced already, but usually when it sits inside, you push this little button here on the side and this thing will come shooting out and it'll open for you all the way. It's technically for the passenger, but the spring on this one doesn't work, and if you push it in too far, it'll kind of get stuck. So that's why I just kind of have it sitting there. It doesn't go anywhere. So maybe we'll look into that. So yeah, that's that there. This one has the dual zone automatic climate controls. Again, kind of takes some getting used to. Has heated seats, which do work apparently. And yeah, everything appears to work here. It's on defrost now. You can't tell because there's no emblem, but I think the little screen behind there is burnt out, so you can see how that lights up, but the screen is, you know, like I said, dark. So if you look really hard, you can see it. Emergency hazards right here. And it's got a single disc CD player, which, funny enough, there's a CD stuck inside. Now, the ironic thing is, the CD player does work when it wants to. Right now it says there's no CD because I did hit the eject button, but the CD that's stuck in there has played for me. So I think, you know, we'll do our research about that, and we will, I want to do that. I want to go here. And then, you know, that'll be one of the first things that we do. So getting this whole unit out should not be that big of a deal. But that'll be one of the first things we tackle. So down below, a couple of small pockets. We have a 12-volt power outlet. I'm sure it works. I haven't tried it yet. The shifter. It is a 5-speed automatic with manumatic shifting, and yes, you can actually move the shifter to shift the gears, unlike the Fusion in the Fiesta where you have buttons on the side. And still really don't understand why all of the, you know, ranges are located on the left side of the shifter, or the right side of the shifter, but probably because when these cars are made, maybe they're right-hand drive, and that's the side that would be facing. So I don't, that's really the only thing that I could think of. No bother. Again, it's a very unique characteristic. This is the handbrake lever, the parking brake. I'm not going to engage it because it may not even work. It might stick, but that is where the handle is. That's pretty cool. Obviously we covered the ignition. This thing here, they say, is a card holder, like a credit card holder, which is kind of cool. There is a cup holder back here. You can also be, or you lift this up here, it could turn into a larger storage container, and then you can also hide it if you wanted to. So, but if you have this thing down, it's obviously shaped to hold a cup. The inside of this thing, haven't really exploded all that much. She left a few things in here for me. It does have an aux cord, as you can see. So, even though the CD player does not work, I can still hook up my phone and listen to Spotify or iTunes or whatever I have on my phone. These are screws for something. I'm not 100% sure what. I think she said this was like a glass cleaner from the Saab, the dealership that used to be Saab. So you spray, it's got spray in here, I think, and then see, like that, and then you wipe it off. So that's kind of cool. So we got that in here. There's also a 12-volt power outlet. I think that's it for here. The glove box, pretty large glove box, you know. There's a lens in there for something, not sure. And I believe there's a cabin air filter back there that probably needs to be changed. On the ceiling, sun visors with lighted vanity mirrors. We have our interior lighting controls here. There are also 2 map lamps, so there's a bunch of lights up top here. That's actually pretty cool. And the sunroof, will not demonstrate that today, but she did say that it was working. It does not leak. Does not need any adjustments from my understanding. This little guy is broken. Didn't know that. Doesn't bother me because I don't look at myself in the mirror. So under the hood of this Saab is the 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder. I believe it puts out, what, 210 horsepower or something like that. Thus making this the most powerful car that I've ever had, which in a way is kind of sad, but that is the truth. So if you haven't watched this channel for long, we did do some work on this car earlier this year. We did a valve cover gasket on it, so this is not the first time that you guys are seeing this particular engine and engine compartment. So the first thing that I need to do to it, maintenance wise, is it is due for an oil change. In fact, it's probably a little overdue because the day that I had it this summer, we did a oil change at about 189,000 miles. So it's getting ready to turn 195. It is overdue, and I honestly don't even know what the maintenance intervals are on this. I know we put full synthetic in it, so it should have been okay for 5,000 miles at least, but it's over that. So I was hoping today I would be able to do it, but with the snow that we got and it being so cold, I'm probably gonna put it off till later on this week to do it, because it's supposed to warm back up a little bit. So yeah, that's the first matter of business. We put an air filter in it, so it's got a clean air filter. She said that the radiator has a small hole in it somewhere. So I don't know, because I haven't really smelled any coolant. I haven't had to put any coolant in it. I know when it was here at my house the one time, I did throw some coolant in it, but it wasn't even that low. It just needed like a teeny weeny, smidge of coolant. So I'm not sure. It doesn't overheat. She's never had a problem with it overheating. So maybe, in time we'll actually do an actual pressure test on it, and when it's cold, and see if we happen to see or hear any kind of coolant coming out of it. But if we have to put a radiator in it, then we got to put a radiator in it. So I'm not gonna jump into anything until I actually see it for myself. Just because that's probably going to be a pretty big job on this. I'm assuming it probably has to come up through the top. It might not be so bad, but we'll see. We got time. I have no idea if the timing has ever been done on this car, because this is essentially a GM Ecotec engine. Saab calls it Eco Power, I think, because of the added turbocharger. And I know the Ecotec engines from GM, they will jump time if the timing guides wear down a lot, and they usually do. So this car is, almost at 200,000 miles, and I remember when I had the valve cover off, the chain, appeared to look okay. It didn't have any slack in it. It felt pretty tight to me. There was still an upper guide under that valve cover, so I'm assuming that the timing chains were done at some point, but that would be really sad if they weren't, and this car is still running on the original chain. But I don't know. I'll try to dig into some more information about the car and its past, a little bit later on. But for now, it runs pretty well, and I'm pretty pleased with it. Alright, so now we'll go ahead and go on a quick drive, and I will kind of tell you guys what I've learned about this car so far in the last week since I've started to drive it. First of all, you might hear it already as we go over these potholes and stuff over here at the park, but there's a lot of noise coming from the front end of the car. So that really didn't notice it that much there. You might be able to hear more of a springy resonance, when I turn the wheel. That was actually something that my stepsister had looked at, and but basically both front struts on this car need to be replaced. Like I just heard it there. When you turn the wheel, I think that side there has a broken strut mount, or a mount that's, you know, going bad. So it's sticking when you turn the wheel, and it's making that grindy, springy noise. And then this side over here, I believe the strut itself has a small leak. So we're gonna end up doing both struts. I don't know how much that's gonna be. I'm hoping that I can just find the Monroe quick struts for this car, like I did when I had the Aztec. So yeah, hopefully we'll do those at the same time. That's probably going to be something that I'm going to have to wait on, because, you know, that's going to be probably a couple $100 there to get those in. There also seems to be, I noticed, a little bit of play in the wheel, and I don't know if it's a tie rod issue, an inner tie rod, or if it's something maybe with the rack or the steering shaft itself. I don't know. It's it doesn't seem to be too crazy, but obviously you don't want to have much play in the wheel. And you know, this one here has quite a bit in it, but it's not, you can just kind of tell the car is not really moving a whole lot as I move the wheel, you know, like that. For the most part, this car is pretty quiet with engine note and stuff, even with the aftermarket exhaust. If I really, you know, gave it some acceleration, you can obviously hear more of the boom, which I like. I like the way it sounds. But usually I have the music on anyway, so it's kind of hard to, you know, even really hear that with how good the sound system is in this car. Like every other GM product, even though it's Saab, it's still GM, but you know, every GM product has all of the rattling plastic and all of the loose, you know, sounding stuff. Whenever you hit bumps and there's nothing on, you hear every little creak that this car, you know, has in it, just from, you know, its age. So doesn't bother me. Like I said, I usually have new music on anyways. I know a lot of people probably are wondering if we're gonna do anything performance-wise to this car, and we are not. I'm not going to be adding a different turbo to it, or I'm not going to tune it or anything. I think people will do that. There's an Aztec coming. Did you see that? So anyway, yeah, we're not doing anything like that to it. This car is too old for that. The only time that this car honestly is going to get a turbo, if it ever needs a turbo, that's the only time. If the turbo happens to go bad or something on this car, or if the turbo starts leaking oil or something, that's the only time I'm replacing the turbo on it. I'm not adding anything stupid to it. It's going to be whatever the stock turbo is, if that is the case. So no, I'm not doing anything performance-wise to this vehicle. Now, I said I haven't really hammered on it, but you know, on the highway, once I'm at like, you know, 50, 55 miles an hour, and if I want to, you know, pass, I have nailed it to the floor, and it does not take long for this thing to get up to like 70 from that standpoint. So I will say that I was very impressed with this engine as is, even for its age. And you know, I think we're just gonna leave it alone. Basically, we're gonna leave it alone. Now, I honestly do not know if this thing has ever really had a tune-up, meaning new plugs. This car does have individual coils, you know, on the spark plugs, so there's really no need for wire replacement. But I don't know if the spark plugs have ever been changed. I'm sure maybe at some point they have, but with this car nearing 200,000 miles, I'm really hoping they've been replaced. But that might be something, you know, if I'm able to obtain more data about this car, then I want to see if they ever listed spark plugs ever being replaced. And if not, then that's definitely something that we need to do. And that'll probably make this car run, you know, even healthier than that. The one thing I have noticed with this car is when it is cold, the first startup of the day, every time this car starts up for the first time, it seems to stumble on itself for like a few seconds before it finally gets to idle. So I don't really know what that's about. There's no warning lights or anything, no check engine light. So that could also, like I said, be a spark plug thing. If you know, if this thing needs them, maybe they're just weak plugs, or they're fouled or something. So again, something to keep in mind. Despite the age of this car, it is pretty comfortable. I will say it is probably more comfortable than the Grand Am is. The Grand Am, of course, being a sport coupe, it's supposed to have more of a firmer ride, firmer suspension. So I know that's the reason why the Grand Am feels the way that it does when you drive it. But this car, it's got its harsh spots here and there, probably just from all of the aged components, you know, all the aged suspension components. But I mean, for the most part, it drives and rides pretty well, and it is more comfortable to be in than the Grand Am is. Most certainly not as comfortable as my Fusion is, but that is obviously, that's like comparing apples to oranges. The Fusion is a lot newer and way under mileage compared to what this thing is. I'm really looking forward to just having this car for a long time. I'm hoping to have all my cars for a long time. You know, I'm really not wanting to get rid of the Grand Am, and I'm not done with that car yet. So that nothing's going anywhere. I'm gonna try to really juggle, for the first time in my existence, I'm gonna try to juggle 4 cars. 2 of them being somewhat hoopties, and then 2 of them are obviously the more reliable daily drivers. Other little things that need to be done to this car, we need a new hood cable. That should be one of the first things I attack. I have it rigged so there's a way to open the hood, but the inside cable completely snapped off of the you know, the handle here, so I have to try to find a hood cable for it and reroute that, which is probably going to be a real fun job. I've never had to do that before, so that'll be something different. I said we're going to need tires. The brakes appear to be newer, so there's a lot of pad on both front and rear brakes, which is really good to know. And what else? We got to do the oil change. I have no idea if the transmission's ever been maintained. I'm going to guess not. Are we going to mess with that? Probably not. Because you know, it seems to be shifting fine, so I'm not concerned about that. So again, something that I could try to look into with more history on the car, if there's any more service records that I can dig up, other than the ones that came with this car, and maybe we can go from there and see. So not a whole lot to do really, just, you know, oil change, CD drive, front struts, and maybe if we're lucky, some tie rods. The rest of it appears to be in perfectly working order. Another cool thing about this Saab in particular is it came with the manual packet, of course. So not only did it come with the manual packet, but it has the original window sticker, which says a lot about this car in particular. But you can see all of the standard features that this car came with, and then there were just a few other options that were added to this car. The paint itself was a $550 option. The Centronic automatic transmission was another $1,350. The sunroof, or moonroof they say, is $1,200, and the front heated seats and headlamp washers were another $550. So brand new, this car turned out to be $30,270. Thus, honestly, making it the most expensive car that I have ever had, brand new. This one came from a dealership in Perrysburg, Ohio, which I'm not really 100% sure where that is. but it stayed within the state, it looks like. And then, of course, the final assembly point of this car was in Trollhättan, Sweden. So, new fuel numbers there. I doubt well, I don't know, it may still make about that. I don't know. So yeah, original window sticker, that's a definite plus there. This packet includes all kinds of things. It's got like the original tire, warranty information. I mean, everything is pretty much here in this packet. And of course, we've got the manual itself, which I have dove into. There's a separate manual for the actual infotainment system. And then, of course, the Saab warranty and service record booklet, which, if you saw the last video, there are some service records here. However, it's not as many service records as I was imagining that it was. But nonetheless, there have been certain documents. I'm assuming when it was just visiting this Swedish Solution Incorporated, which is in Orange Village, Ohio. It looks like they're the ones who actually stamped and filled everything out. So I think maybe it was just when it was there. But I'm hoping to obtain a Carfax on it, and I want to see if the Carfax may list any other shop history and any other records with the car. And as if that was enough, it came with this little box, you know, and obviously you can't open it until you unlock it. And they actually have a thing for you. You take the key, like it's in the car, and you unlock it. So obviously you don't have to have the key to unlock it. You can use your finger if you wanted to, you know. But it's just fun with the key, so why not? And then it opens up, and it's got like you know, a little bit more literature, and then it's got like this coffee table book all about Saab. And I looked through this a little bit also, and it's you know, it's pretty cool. I mean, it's got things in here about, like, you know, the history of Saab, you know, like the model history. Talks about like the racing days, engineering stuff with Saab. So I mean, it was a pretty interesting read, you know. I mean, I didn't read it. I just kind of skimmed through it recently, but I think that's pretty cool. I mean, the little add-ons that you got when you bought, you know, these cars back in the day, you know, I mean, that's pretty sweet. So I think it may have stayed in the trunk of the car the entire time, but it's in the house now, so that's probably, you know, where it's gonna stay. Then you take the key and you lock it back up. So I don't know. I think that those little add-ons, I think, are just you know, that's pretty cool to have. All right, guys. So there you have it, the official introduction and the full tour on the 2006 Saab 9.3 2.0T. So I hope you guys are looking forward to what, you know, this car brings us in the future. I know I'm looking forward to it, learning about new things and stuff that I've never had to experience before. It's my first like foreign car, I guess you could say, even though it's a GM car. But you know, there's some stuff, you know, that I gotta get used to, and stuff that we're gonna learn about in the process. So hopefully we have a lot of good times with this car, and you know, hopefully I can just keep the odometer going, man. That's the point. So that's all I got for today. If you enjoyed this video, give this a thumbs up, comment, subscribe. Check out teespring.com/stores/Mike's Vehicle Spotlight for all of your MVS and vlog merchandise. That's it. I'm going to go home and get warm. I will see you guys next time. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. Take care.